People who are still against sex before marriage, why? I'm not so much wait until marriage, but completely in the wait until serious committed relationship camp. Sex is very intimate to me, and I'd like my partner to share that value. No shame to those that are into more casual relationships, it's just not my thing. My cousin is very religious. He met a girl in January, proposed in February and married in June. No one in my family will admit it, but I'm pretty sure they moved so fast because they're horny, lol. Because you'll hold up the ceremony. All the guests are waiting patiently. Personally, I'm not against it. But I know someone that is. And she said she personally wants to share that experience only with one person in her life and wants to be sure that they'll be together forever, so she wants to be married before. What was interesting to me was that she said she wouldn't mind if her then husband would have not waited. It's just her preference. I don't share that opinion, but I understand her point of view. I'm religious, but I try not to be an asshole about it. No sex for me doesn't mean no sex for thee. I was against sex before marriage, but no longer am. My husband and I were pretty religious while dating, so we waited until marriage. I'm sad about the missed opportunities we had, lol. It was extremely hard waiting the 5 years we dated and then having to turn off that part of your brain once you are married is weird. We've been married 7 years now and I still feel a sense of anxiety like I'm sinning when we're intimate. It definitely messed my subconscious up. My reasons were religious mainly. On top of it, I find sex to be very exposing and something to do when I feel safe and close. I never wanted a relationship built on sex or physical and that only. I wanted to build a relationship on trust and communication first and physical second, and that boundary helped me do that. I was against sex before marriage when I was younger because why would you want to have sex before you have to? Turns out I'm asexual and just didn't know that other people do have a sex drive and actually want to have sex. I always legitimately thought this was made up. Redditors try to respect other viewpoints about relationships challenge impossible. As a woman, setting boundaries helped me find quality men who were interested in me as a partner instead of just sex. Plus, to me, the key to a successful marriage has more to do with communication and the ability to resolve conflict rather than sex. It's worth it to focus on building up those skills instead of a sexual relationship which is often built on infatuation. I'm just against marriage. I know Reddit hates it when individuals have personal beliefs, but I'll give you an honest answer. Because I'm religious and I literally believe that God said not to. If you're not religious or your faith does not hold to that particular belief, all the power to you. I'm not going to be a dick about it if we don't have the same beliefs. I waited, and I'm glad I did. Our relationship was based on respect, friendship, and communication. Things you will need throughout your relationship and life. I am an anxious person, and I never had to worry about STIs or unwanted pregnancy. Admittedly, it did take us a while to get things down, but currently have an active and fulfilling sex life. Married for over 10 years and grateful every day for him. It worked for us, but I'm not saying it works for everyone. My wife waited for personal and religious reasons, which is fine. I did not. It is just a choice after all. However, after years of marriage we have come to realize we got extremely lucky with sexual compatibility personality. The question isn't whether sex is good or bad, because any good marriage will have each person learning how to please the other. The issue is if you fundamentally want different things in the bedroom. Which of course you don't know what you like if you have never tried things, and that simply can't be solved by communication. It trains you for the realities of marriage and prepares you for many more years of not having sex. Aside from the fact it's against my religion? Islam. Well, I believe sex is a thing you do only with the person you love deeply, the one you trust above all others. To be done knowing if you make any kid, that kid will have two loving parents rather than one with an absent father-mother. I say this will for understanding others don't think the way I do. and I don't force my beliefs on them. It's just my position on this. Even if you ignore the religious moral arguments, waiting poses far fewer risks of STDs, unwanted pregnancies when you're not ready for a kid, and even just avoiding regrets if you break up before getting married and wish you hadn't slept with them. I know a couple of my friends who loved someone while in school and got married to them later, and didn't have sex with anyone including their partners until they got married. Their love wasn't based on sexual fling but rather emotional, understanding, and personality. Happily married. My wife and I waited until marriage. Once she married her first husband, we were banging on the reg. I think that, for some people, first-time sex can be a heavy experience on a variety of levels, and they're just not wired to just screw and walk away. I find that the definition of sex is different for people that won't have sex until marriage. I was dating a Catholic girl, and by date 3 I went to undress her, and she said I'm a virgin, and I'll stay a virgin until marriage. My face must have looked as if someone I loved died. She then said, so I'll just blow you, and then you can stick it in my butt and we can do anal until you finish. Cause people have screwed up their life by not taking measures and then screw up the kid's life. For me, it's mostly for religious reasons. I believe sex is meant to be kept within a marriage. I respect people making their own decisions, but for me, waiting is the right choice. Man named marriage flushed face. Mainly because there are so many issues with hookup culture. You can have unplanned pregnancies, STDs, STIs, allegations of sexual assault, true or false, and mainly because it's a way for two people get closer. It's hard to do that when you barely know the person. Is it possible on Reddit for someone to say anything pro-religion and not get downvoted to hell for it? You don't have to agree with them, but just let other people live their lives. Redditors don't get mad at people that want to save themselves for marriage. Challenge impossible. It's not premarital sex if you never get married. I like the thought of sharing that vulnerability with only one other person. Less people I have sex with, the lower my chances of getting a disease is, no pregnancy scares, and honestly, the thought of going through and growing together sexually is appealing. I feel like some of the people here don't understand that having sex with someone doesn't mean your relationship is built on sex. If you want a relationship built on your love for each other, and the relationship is suddenly built on sex as soon as you start having sex, that's a red flag. If it wasn't built on it after you first had sex, then it probably wouldn't be built on it before. Are you asking about people that judge others for that, or who simply have that desire? If it's the latter, who cares? People should have the freedom to have their own codes without having to justify. If it's the former, then whichever view they have, they're asses for judging others based on their personal values. It incentivizes proper behavior in men. If all women made men wait until marriage to have sex, those good men that women are always looking for would be much more prevalent. Still, did all of the reasons that societies across the world had the often broken standard of reserving sex for marriage just go away? I wish I had waited. The culture is against it, but it's not liberating or feminist like they say. It's part of my religion. I had multiple sexual partners before marriage. My wife was a virgin. The difference in sexual experience caused more issues than it helped, and a large part was because our baselines were different. I unnecessarily caused insecurities in her, because she was comparing herself against however she imagined my previous partners were. If I could do it all over again, I'd have been a virgin when we met. Part of our growth over the years has been getting better at sex together. The culmination of all the sex I had before my wife is meaningless in the face of living our lives together. My question is it just sex? Or can you do other things? Is there a rule book? Or is everyone different? 'Cause I've heard stories on how the guy wanted to wait and the night of their honeymoon he whipped out a 1mm defeater and the women was in shock and mad. Did you just